Hey, this is Bert, and today I want to talk about a problem that has been upsetting a lot of collectors recently, and that is the fact that Hasbro announced that by 2023 they would be phasing out all plastic from their packaging. So let's dive in and look to see if there's some solutions to this problem that would make collectors happy and let Hasbro stick to their policy.
No Skill Customs.
First of all, as a human being, I gotta say the plastic-free packaging policy of Hasbro is actually a good policy. Here's why. Plastic is everywhere, and single-use plastic is filling up landfills. And I gotta tell you, I'm concerned about my kids and their kids, you know? I think as much as everyone's gonna say it's a PR stunt of some sort, and they're just trying to get free advertising for the Hasbro brand or whatever. They think they'll sell stuff more if it doesn't have plastic in their packaging. Whatever, it doesn't even matter to me. Unless they're going to set up some sort of like place where you can recycle all their packaging in every town where it's easy to get to, then I think all corporations that are creating single-use plastic should look to ways to phase it out. I mean, the food industry, that's a tough call. I don't know. I don't really have any solutions for them. That's why this is not the food industry plastic problem solution video. But I mean, I think Hasbro, it's not that difficult to do, but it does pose some problems for us collectors. Okay. And about the recycling thing, I mean, we've all got those spirally light bulbs. What do you do with those when they burn out, right? So you can't just put this on the consumer. I got a drawer full of stupid swirly light bulbs that don't work anymore, and I can't just throw them in the garbage. They got mercury in them, right? But I know I'm not the only one that's got a drawer or a box full of these things that they don't know where to recycle. Okay, nowhere in my area, and I have contacted places says that they'll recycle these things for me. That's number one. And then number two, I know that tons of people just throw them out anyways. So what's the solution to that? If you know that the consumer is just going to throw out this plastic and it's just going to fill up landfills, and we just don't have the space on this planet for it, and even if it doesn't end up in landfills, it's going to end up in the ocean, then the simplest solution, and I think it's an honorable one, is to just get rid of the single-use plastic. Now, other people are like, well, the toys are made out of plastic. Well, yeah, the toys are made out of plastic. I get it, but it's not a single-use item, okay? Hopefully you play with them. Hopefully you display them, whatever. People get use out of the toys that are made out of plastic. And yeah, maybe eons from now, they'll all be in landfills or whatever when no one cares about Star Wars. Is that even possible? I don't even know. But they have a long-term purpose. I mean, I think that's a non-argument, all right? But let's talk about the plastic in the packaging. Now, when Hasbro made this statement, if you look at 95% of what Hasbro sells, board games, Nerf guns, Milo ponies, all that stuff, doesn't really matter. No one's going to miss the plastic in these packages. They just won't. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. But when it comes time for collectibles, like action figures, all of a sudden it is a different story. Okay, so as great as I think it is that they've made this statement, they're going to get rid of single-use plastic, I think about the toy aisle, the action figure aisle, and it's going to look weird. Okay, you're going to walk through and it's going to look like someone turned all the packages backwards. I mean, it's all right, and you know, we got boxed vehicles already. We've even had boxed 2-packs of figures. We've had boxed 4-packs of figures. But when you think about the vintage collection, that's where it really hurts. Black Series, I mean, we all saw the Marvel Legend little Hasbro Pulse-a-thon thing from a week or so ago. Yeah, the packages, they don't look great. It doesn't really look good on display. But I gotta say, Black Series, Marvel Legends, the many different Transformers series they have, the packages have never really looked that great or consistent. Think about how many changes the Black Series has had and how the packages have never been outstanding except when they made it look vintage style, in my opinion. I don't collect Black Series, but when I've seen collections, the collections that impress me more are the ones where they're all open and posed and stuff. Then with the vintage collection, now we're talking history. We're talking a toy line that looks just like it did when we grew up in the 80s. And not only that, but even as the toy line has been restarted, we're talking over 200 figures in the same style of packaging, totally 100% consistent. And now to think that's going to change, that's pretty tough. Black Series has changed constantly. The Marvel Legends, their packages has changed constantly. This is just another change. I can see how it's not ideal. I know people are concerned about figures being swapped, and that's a horrible thing. I've seen some egregious attempts at that, even with the plastic packaging. I think Hasbro's solution to that is they're going to have to do something maybe like Legos. You notice Legos, it's easy to tell when a Lego package has been tampered with because a lot of their seamed closure places are not taped shut, they're actually glued shut. So that's my thought for that part. So I don't think that's an unsolvable problem. So I want to offer, really, I just want to focus on the vintage collection and how we can have a figure in a vintage collection style package that still matches our whole other rest of our vintage collection, but then also helps Hasbro meet their plastic-free policy. Here is solution number 1. I know a lot of you guys are going to say this is kind of a non-solution, but I'm putting it out there anyways. And that solution is Semantics. This is something they're doing by themselves. They're not being forced to reduce the plastic in their packaging. Even in their statements, it says Hasbro is eliminating single-use plastic packaging from their toys and games. Could you simply designate something like the vintage collection, maybe the Star Wars retro collection, maybe the mini 3.75-inch Marvel Legends? Could you designate them as collectibles? Because the packaging is as much a part of the product as the toy that's in the package. It really is. It's the look of this old school style that really can't be compromised. I've seen people do like little cardboard box mock-ups, and I think we all know that's not going to be the same, and it's not going to feel right with the rest of the collectibles. And so this actually kind of brings up why this is such a concern for me, because you might be like, Bert, you open all your toys, and that's true, except for my retro collection and my little 3.75-inch Marvel Legends. Everything I buy is open. Why is this a concern for me? Because I know a lot of people keep their Star Wars vintage collection figures in the package, and I know a lot of those people will not buy stuff with a little cardboard box sticking out the front. You might have seen all the different polls and stuff that different websites have done, talking about how many people open their vintage collection, how many don't. I would say it's pretty accurate that around half the vintage collection toys that are made stay in their package, and possibly for their entire existence. When I think about all the wacky, obscure Star Wars characters I want to see made in the vintage collection, if you're selling to half the market, there's no way they're ever going to be done. And so that hurts to think that this elimination of plastic is going to end the vintage collection as we know it. Not just the look of it, but just its existence entirely. Getting back to my idea with the Semantics, what if you just called these guys collectibles? Maybe you could even have different versions. A mint in package, collectible status vintage collection figure, and have one that's just in a box. Solution number 2. Plastic alternatives. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember this, but a couple of years ago, Sun Chips tried doing a plastic alternative bag, and it was too crinkly. It made too much noise. So they canceled it immediately, which I thought was ridiculous. But if you're going to have some Sun Chips while you watch a TV show, just pour them in a bowl already. Biodegradable alternatives exist. They're out there. Cellulose, I know, is one that people are looking into. A lot of people have concern with these alternatives too. Well, they're not gonna be around forever. There's no way to keep them from dissolving or whatever. I imagine there's a possible way to do it where the only thing that's going to make it biodegrade is direct contact with water or long-term contact with moisture. I mean, if you could find an alternative like that, or maybe it already exists, that'd be really ideal. It would look like plastic to those of us who want to have a clear bubble on the packaging, but then it would deteriorate and turn into mulch or whatever over time. So that was number 2. And number 3, this is going to be a weird solution to you guys, but number 3, what if the solution is actually more plastic? Now hear me out. You guys have all seen these sort of plastic tray things, right? That's not disposable packaging anymore. That's like a useful item, like a little storage locker thing. So what if you actually put a plastic backing on the toys and had it open up like a clamshell and had a little slot where the back hanger thing went through the card back and was taped on the back? It's not perfect. Okay, I know it's a bit of a compromise, but to me, if it was that or having a big old cardboard box with a picture of the character on the front, I think this would work for me. I think I'd go for it. So here's my little mock-up here. I think this could work. I would use these plastic bubbles for shipping stuff when I ship it on eBay. I'd use it for storing weapons, It has a purpose. It's not something people would throw out. You know, maybe parents with kids would throw them out, but I don't know, maybe not. Okay, I could even see people taking these off the card backs and keeping their figures in these and hanging them on the wall like that so they can maximize their wall space, and maybe putting all their card backs in a binder. Could be kind of cool. So more plastic might actually be a solution. I really think a little miniature clamshell attached to the card back could solve it. And really, it's not packaging anymore. It's not disposable. It's something that collectors would keep if they were opening the figures, and it's something that they would keep especially if they weren't opening the figures. That's my last idea. I'm hoping Hasbro comes up with something, because I know a lot of people have been saying that the end is near, and I gotta agree. If they can't come up with a solution that lets us at least think that we have plastic bubble on our vintage collection packages, I do think that toy line is going to die. I mean, people like it for its look, and it's the only toy line I can think of that has looked so consistent for so long, and it's the only toy line I've seen people just line entire walls of their room, the most expensive wallpaper ever, right? But it looks amazing, and I don't see that with other toy lines. Okay, not even G.I. Joe really managed to do that ever with their 3.75-inch line, have a consistent look when they rebooted them. It's a little bit of history that'd be lost if they can't find some solution. And maybe there's more out there, but ultimately you've got to be able to see the figures. They can't be something, I think an open window thing would never work for a vintage collection because the heads and hands pop off so easily. So it's got to be enclosed. It's got to be something that's see-through. Hopefully one of my ideas will take hold, or maybe there's another idea out there. So this has been Bert trying to tell you guys, don't lose sleep just yet. There might be a possible way that we can all be happy, and Hasbro can stick to their environment-friendly policy of no plastic packaging. But we'll see. May the 4th be with you guys.